forward. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to Avini Vibes. Hard to believe today is May 1st, 2025. I'm your host, Christine Rolando, and I have my Carol Witt with me always to help. Carol, thank you. Your blessing always to help in the technical aspects and be there for support. And Chip Littlejohn is in the house as well. Tonight we do night, Chip. Welcome from, it looks like you're in Palm Beach, Florida, perhaps, but you never know where Chip and Marcy are. I know they're always available on the phone wherever they are, even if it is 1 o'clock in the morning on the last night of the month. So with that said, Dr. Nikita is not with us tonight, but what I'd like to do is welcome any guest. If you're a guest, you can wave or raise your hand or put a thumb up. We're all right. We got some guests in the house. So we're here for you. We're here to share, but we don't make any medical claims and we don't diagnose or treat. So remember that if you ask a question, we're here again to learn from one another. But most importantly, tonight we have a very, very special guest in the house. And we were just blessed to have him in New Jersey with us at a conference where the majority of people spoke another language. And some of them are with us tonight. So we learned how to speak some Polish, and we also learned so much about the beautiful culture, loving people, very, very welcoming. And we're grateful for their hospitality in New Jersey. And Rik and his dear wife, Liz, were with us. So again, turn your phones off as mine is ringing and mute your phones, and we're going to go ahead and get started. But I also just want to say congratulations to those of you that worked hard to rank up with your teams. Very, very proud of everybody. Congratulations. And again, I said tonight we have a special guest. Tonight we have Rik Deitsch with us, the Chief Scientific Officer. Rik is the Director of NutraPharma Corp, and he's going to share a little bit about his experience. But most importantly, he is with us here tonight. He's with Avini as I call him the smartest man in the house, well, and Chip's here too. But we always learn so much from Rik, and he's never short with his time or with his heart to share what he knows, his knowledge and his experience. So with that, Rik, please join us. Thank you. We'd like to give you the floor. And again, if you just joined us, we're going to open it up later on for some questions for Rik. But warm welcome for Rik Deitsch. Thank you, Rik. Please mute yourself
Thank
if you're
you.
not speaking. Thank you.
So you just wanted me to chat? I haven't been on one of these calls for you. So is it
Oh,
interview style or is it just me?
well, yeah, so it's just you, but what we want to hear, what I'd like to hear a little bit about tonight is if you can talk, because we have a lot of new people, just about Cell Defender, a little bit about the tip of the spear, why Cell Defender is so important, and how you came to do what you did with Cell Defender to be the category creator of the cleanest zeolite on planet Earth.
Sure, no, I'd love to. So as people know, I'm a biochemist. I've been a biochemist since before college. I actually even in high school and fresh out of high school, I worked with Princeton University on PNI, psychoneuroimmunology studies. So I've been doing this sort of stuff forever. In college, I worked primarily in peptides, small proteins from cone snails, venomous snails in the ocean. And then right out of that, in graduate school, I started working on cancer drugs and chemotherapies. Uh, I really hated the way we treated cancer. It was always something that annoyed me. That for the most part, if you look at what chemotherapy does, it stops cell division. So it targets actively dividing cells. And if you think about it, in an adult with cancer, the cells that are dividing most are cancer cells. So it does kill the cancer cells. But then again, there's other cells that are dividing your white and red blood cells, your hair follicles, your skin. So you think about all the side effects from chemotherapy, those are the side effects because we're targeting cell division. So anything that's dividing is going to die. Now, more recently, we've started with CAR T, immunotherapies, trying to target the cancer of different things about the cancer than about healthy tissue. So we're finally moving in the right direction. But I was always looking for something different that could help the immune system and help the immune system battle cancer. And if you think about it too, chemotherapy targets actively dividing cells. One of the things that actively divides is white blood cells. So by definition, chemotherapy destroys your immune system, and you need an immune system to fight cancer. So it's very counterintuitive that you're destroying the one thing in the body that can actually fight the cancer. So regardless, I was looking for a bunch of different concepts in chemotherapy and cancer. And I've told this story before. While I was a researcher and while I was in graduate school, I met and married my wife, and she has very expensive tastes. And so I had to actually get a job. I couldn't just be a student. I couldn't just work in the lab. And I had the great fortune to get a job at Rexall Sundown. And Rexall Sundown was the largest manufacturer of dietary supplements in the world. So I went from being a pharmaceutical biochemist to working in the nutritional world and becoming a nutritional biochemist. And I worked with some incredible researchers. At Rexall alone, we had dozens of researchers. We eventually became part of Royal Numico. We had 400 PhD scientists working for us. So we did lots and lots and lots of research and science and primary research on our products. But a lot of times people would bring me ideas and bring me products. And I'd already heard of zeolites. Zeolites were a known mineral. For the most part, they were what we call molecular sieves. They were for separation, and they're used mostly in the oil and gas industries. They're used in filtration media. So it's something that I had familiarity with, but I never thought about zeolites for human health. And someone had come to me that had a product. The original company was in Croatia, but they were selling this product in Germany and in England. It was a product called Megamints, and it was just a capsule with zeolite and vitamin C in it. And they asked me what I thought of it. And I took a look at it. I took a look at their research. It was really interesting. And I said, but you're missing the mark. You have a couple issues with your product. So just to back up for people who are new that don't really understand what a zeolite is, zeolites are natural minerals. In fact, I think I have a zeolite cage I can put up behind me. Only can do this on Zoom. Background. There we go. So here's a zeolite cage behind me. All right. This is a Clinoptelite. Clinoptelite is one of 49 different naturally occurring zeolites. It has a cage-like structure, and you can see 10-sided ring and 8-sided ring, and it goes 10-sided, 8-sided, 10-sided, 8-sided, repeating crystal structure, very geometric. And so it has this cage-like structure and this negative charge. It's one of the few negatively charged minerals found in nature. Because it's cage-like structure and negative charge, it can draw within itself, to itself, and trap within itself a variety of different toxic compounds. Oh my God, it's sucking me up. Ah! Isn't that fun? Um, if you're toxic, you get sucked into the zeolite. So the fact is, this particular zeolite, because of the size and the charge and the pores, it loves small, highly charged metals. So it loves mercury and lead and cadmium and arsenic and tin and bismuth, aluminum, antimony. It doesn't like calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, sodium, potassium, all the good stuff. So it's really very good at taking out the bad stuff and leaving the good stuff. So clinoptilite zeolite has been used for hundreds of years, over 800 years in traditional medicine. There's societies in India and Asia called geophasics or clay eaters. They've been eating this stuff for almost 1,000 years. It's just part of their diet. So we know that it's healthy. We know it's good for you. But when I looked at their supplement, I said, we're missing a couple things. The first thing is the powder they were using was too big. If you look at the particle size, their average particle size was about 20 microns, and it went all the way up to 200 microns. If you felt the powder was like a granular sand. And my point there is it's too big to be absorbed. At that particle size, it's just going to stay in the digestive tract and be a digestive cleanser. I said, why don't we micronize it? Well, they were doing a process. They call it tribal mechanical activation. And they basically put the zeolite between two spinning discs, and some of it gets crushed and some of it doesn't. And then they have it in this glass container, and they basically shake it up, and then they have this arbitrary line and say everything above this we can use, everything below it we can't. And their reasoning is not too bad. They're saying that the heaviest stuff is full of toxins and the lighter stuff is not. So the lighter stuff they can use, but there's no standardization. They don't necessarily know how small the particles are, how clean the zeolite is. Uh, and so I say we really need to have a process that micronizes zeolite, reduces the particle size less than 2 microns. If it's less than 2 microns, it's going to be absorbed from the digestive tract into the bloodstream. And when I first launched my first commercial product, that was my aim, 2 microns. And I was using all sorts of different versions of centrifugation and chalcination to try and crush the zeolite. But I hit on a great process in 2004 that I use now. It's a proprietary process that breaks the zeolite down to submicron, and it's consistent. So I'm consistently getting particle size of less than 1 micron all the way down to 347 nanometers. That certainly means that 100% of the zeolite gets absorbed. And we've actually measured it in the bloodstream of people taking the product. So we know it gets absorbed, we know it gets in very well. We've also done, just for people, for your own edification, we've also done extensive radio labeled studies to prove that it doesn't stay in the body. The zeolite gets absorbed, it goes around, but it all gets excreted in about 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours, depending on how much you eat and drink, how often you go to the bathroom, physical activity. And that's important because people say, oh, it doesn't stay in the body and accumulates and has problems. No. The zeolite basically travels around the blood and the lymph, sucking up toxins. At some point, it becomes full. And I say full with air quotes because it's not really full. What happens is the surface of the zeolite takes on a net neutral charge. Once it gets neutral, it simply gets urinated out. It goes to the kidney, bladder, gets urinated out, like any other transformation product from the liver. It's treated the exact same way, but it is 100% excreted. So when I looked at that original product, the first product problem I had was size. I said, you got to be able to micronize it, reduce the particle size. The second thing I had was it was dirty. That company had actually tried twice to get approval in the UK, in England, and got turned down twice. And you can look this up. You look up Eurimica, EURIMCA, Eurimica zeolite. You can right online, you can see their report to the EU trying to get their zeolite approved. And it was turned down twice because it was dirty. It was full of mercury and lead and cadmium. And the British authorities basically said, are you nuts? We can't approve this. It's full of all these heavy metals. And so what I try to tell you is that it's not dangerous that's full of these heavy metals because I just told you Clinoptelite zeolite is considered safe. It's been used in historically in traditional medicine for hundreds of years. But when the zeolite pulls in those toxins, it's taking up space and it's holding on to those toxins. So how much benefit is it giving us if it's already full of these high affinity toxins? And so I came up with this process to force the cationic exchange of all the heavy metals and volatile organic compounds. And we call it activation because we're cleaning it out and making it more active because it's cleaned out. Marcia Littlejohn gave me the best example. She said, imagine a kitchen sponge that's dirty. If your kitchen sponge is dirty, can you wash your dishes with it? Can you clean your counter? No. So you take it to the sink and you use hot water and soap and you scrunch it out and you squeeze it out and you clean it out. Now you have a nice clean sponge that by definition is more active. It can do more, it can clean more. So that's what we do with the zeolite. We micronize and activate the zeolite to make sure that it has the most surface area possible. When there are some people that tell me that their zeolite is clean, that their zeolite mine is in a pristine environment, and they don't have to activate their zeolite. It's clean. So the funny thing is that the company that said this is in Australia. They have a product called Zeo Activate with a number 8. And I first went ahead and looked at Google Maps and saw where their mine site was. And it was right next to a copper mine and a nickel mine and a lead mine. So their zeolite's not clean to begin with. But even if it was generally in a clean area, I argue that wind blows and water flows and that stuff gets into the zeolite anyway. I've talked about this before. When we clean out the zeolite as part of the activation process, sometimes we don't do it all the time, but sometimes we capture what comes out and we analyze it because I want to see from batch to batch what we're getting out of the zeolite, what's in the zeolite naturally. And for the most part, we can identify what's coming out, the volatile organic compounds, the different metals. But once we couldn't identify what was coming out, it didn't show up in our gas chromatograph. So we sent it to a third party company to analyze, and it came back as diesel fuel exhaust. I thought that was fascinating because that means that the actual mining equipment that's mining the zeolite at the mine site is creating toxins that the zeolite is sucking up, you know? And if you're not cleaning out your zeolite, that's in the product. That's in your product. So I knew the zeolite was going to be highly effective at removing toxic heavy metals. I know all of us are toxic. You're on this call, you know you're toxic. That's just a fact. If you live in today's world, no matter where you live, you're breathing, eating, and drinking toxins, and you're born with toxins. You know, there's that study from the Environmental Working Group showed over 200 toxic compounds in the umbilical cord blood of newborns. So we know we're toxic. We got to do something about it. We know the zeolite's incredible at doing it. So now that we have the micronized activated zeolite, we know that we have a product that's better than anything that's been used in traditional medicine. So
You
that
have
being
to
said,
zoom
we
on
have
it. I
we
have it
got
on
to
mine. I think you have to have it downloaded for it to open it up.
yeah. Joe, Joe,
Joe.
can you
I,
mute?
Joe, can you mute, please?
I apologize profusely. There was somebody who was trying to get on. Mayor Koopa,
Just mute your button. Thank you.
thank you.
And now we have to unmute Rik. Rik is muted now, Carol.
Okay, now I'm
There you
not
go.
muted. Okay, so so the company is still out there. They had the Megamin's product, and they still sell that product. It's a decent capsule zeolite. But once we were able to make my micronized activated zeolite, we launched it in 2004, and we had immediate results. And I got to tell you, Christine, I was worried because in the dietary supplement industry, it's really hard to make the intangible tangible. Like we have a fiber product that lowers cholesterol. It absolutely lowers cholesterol. It's clinically proven to lower cholesterol, but you can take it. No one's stopping you on the street and saying, Christine, your cholesterol looks great today. You know, so you don't have tangible benefit. You got to wait until you get that blood test and you show other people. So for the most part, you try to make the intangible tangible. And I warn people that you aren't going to see that with this product, that you're going to be healthier, you're going to get rid of toxins, heavy metals, but you're just not going to see uh, the difference in the people using it. Well, within a week of us launching the product, we immediately started getting testimonials. People felt better, they felt healthier. In the clinical studies, we did a paper pencil test where all the patients reported they had more energy during the day, they were sleeping better at night, they had improved cognitive function. People said it's like a fog lifted off their brain. And then the thing that surprised me the most is across the board, people reported improved visual acuity. Their eyesight improved, especially glare recovery and night vision. And that was a hard thing for me because I need mechanisms. I'm like, what's going on? So one of my researchers started looking at liver function tests and found out that across the board, people had improved liver function tests. So we believe what's happening is because the zeolite is removing toxins that are normally processed through the liver has less work to do. It's basically freed up to do its job. And so one of the things the liver does is produce glutathione, which is the principal antioxidant that protects the eyes. So now you have improved visual acuity because the liver's working better. So these downstream effects of a cleaner, healthier body. So I will say this: I am the category creator of colloidal suspension for zeolites. No one's ever done this before I did. Expected, oh, I got this great invention. It's helping all these people. Everyone's going to come to me and want to work with me. And I turned around and there were 20, 30, 40 knockoff products. Everyone out there just wanted to make it themselves, not understanding what it was, how to do it, how to make it. And sometimes it was dangerous. I talk about the very first competitor we ever had was a company called Denali. And they came out with a product called Denali Tox. And all of their advertising was better than Riks. That's basically what it was. It's better than Riks. It's better than Riks. It's smaller than Riks. It's cleaner than Riks. It's better than Riks. You know, so Denali Tox was coming out, and all the distributors kept calling me saying, Rik, you got to get that product. You got to analyze that product. You got to tell us what it is. You got to be ready for it. You got to, and I've learned, and my father was a baseball player. He said, you don't have to swing at every pitch, you know? So just because someone's saying they're better than you, they're out there, sometimes even addressing them elevates them. So I said, you know what? Let's just wait and see. Let's see what happens. So they launched their product. And the first thing that happened is when you took it, it turned your teeth green, which I thought was a negative. I don't know if anybody wants green teeth. Uh, I know we spent a lot of money whitening our teeth. I don't know if anybody wants green teeth. The second thing is it put 5 people in the hospital the first month with liver failure from aflatoxicosis. So they didn't clean out their stuff right. They put ingredients in it that had toxins in it, and it put people in the hospital. So that product was pulled off the market within 45 days. The president company was fired, and they were out of business within 6 months. But that was the first competitive product that came out. Now, since then, most of the products haven't been dangerous. They've just been useless. There's a company, their product is actually called Clear. I think it's hilarious. They say it's clear, and they say their zeolite is so small that their product is clear. The mine's big and dirty because you can see it. Well, the product is clear because there's nothing in it. We've centrifuged their product for months, and we can't get anything. There's nothing in their product. I think they actually start out with the zeolite and they filter it all out. So they want to say their product is so small they use a microfilter, and they basically get rid of all their material. There's other companies out there. There's one company that says that I micronize my zeolite. They nano size their zeolite. So theirs is much smaller because it's nano sized. And I think that's a ridiculous statement. I can say I'm nano sized. I'm 21 trillion nanometers tall, so I'm definitely nano sized. Um, but when you actually ask them how big their particles are, their zeolite particles are, they say it's zero point 0.9 nanometers across. So take a look at the zeolite behind me. You can see it's 7.5 by 4.2 angstroms is the bigger pore. So that's 0.75 by 4.42 nanometers. If their zeolite is zero point 0.9 nanometers, that means their entire zeolite cage is the size of one hole. You think you're pulling up toxins with that? You think you can hold on to anything with that? It clearly shows they don't understand what their zeolite looks like. They don't understand how big a zeolite particle is. And they certainly don't understand how it attracts and holds on to toxic metals and volatile organic compounds. And the worst part is if you go to their websites, invariably they're using my content, my published research, and even our testimonials. You know, like when I see a testimonial from Marcy L, I know it's Marcy Littlejohn, and it's her testimonial. It's on their website. I know there's a problem. You know,
But can you
They-
talk about the safety for, is a question about, is it safe for children? Can a pregnant mother use this? And also the dosing, how much should a person use?
Yeah, so it's safe for everybody. The zeolite has no chemical mechanism of action. It is completely safe and non-toxic. It basically just floats around the blood and the lymph, sucking up toxins, and you urinate them out. Um, there are people that are highly toxic. We've talked about this. And for the most part, I'm going to tell you, in clinical research, it's about 1/10 of 1%. About 1 in 1,000 people using the product will have a reaction. That's basically a detox reaction. Some people call it a Herxheimer reaction. And what happens there is all of us have toxins that are sequestered. They're hidden in bone, in tissue, in fat. And when you start removing the toxins from circulation, the tissue will start releasing the toxins from sequestration. For most of us, that's a very slow, methodical process. But there's some of us that are so highly toxic that once we start removing the toxins in circulation, the body goes, it just releases all these toxins at once. And you can have flu-like symptoms. It's like having a cold or an allergic response. It could feel like chronic fatigue. You can have all these issues. I'm going to tell you, it is not dangerous. It's only uncomfortable, but it can be very uncomfortable. So I tell people if that happens, then first of all, make sure you're drinking plenty of water so you're flushing the toxins out. The second thing is if you can continue on a higher dose, do so, clear all that out, and you'll feel better. Within a week or two, you'll feel better than you have your whole life. Most people can't handle that. They can't handle that. It's too uncomfortable. So those people, I have them reduce the dose dramatically. Maybe just 1 or 2 drops a day. Maybe 1 or 2 drops in a bottle of water, and you drink that throughout the day. And the trick is to try to raise that dose over time using your body as its own barometer and see how you feel over time to try to get that dose up to at least 5 drops a couple times a day. You really want to get up to 10 drops at least twice a day. And that's for those people that have those issues. It is completely safe in pregnant nursing mothers. For the great majority of people, I say that you need to start with 10 drops 4 times a day: breakfast, lunch, dinner, bedtime. Spread it out. 10 drops 4 times a day, drinking plenty of water. We call that the detox dose. And you want to do that for the first month. That's going to kind of clear out everything that's in circulation. Then you can lower to what we call the maintenance dose, which is 10 drops twice a day. Understand that the way the zeolite works is lower doses more often are much more beneficial than trying to take mega doses. The zeolite is passively absorbed. If you take any more than about 15 drops at a time, less gets absorbed as a function of percent because it won't absorb against a concentration gradient for the bloodstream around the digestive tract. So I never tell people to take more than 15 drops at a time. In fact, ideally, 5 to 10 drops every hour is fabulous. We call that the upper dose. Some people call it the Marcy dose because that's what Marcy Littlejohn did for her own issues. So 5 to 10 drops every waking hour. And that's really a very high dose. Most people don't need to take that much, but that's a very high dose that's certainly going to be in circulation, constantly scrubbing the body and taking out toxins and heavy metals. I do recommend that if you do the regular dosing, where you do the detox dose and the maintenance dose, every 6 to 12 months, repeat the detox dose. You would do another kind of cleanse, kind of because what happens is you're constantly removing that stuff in circulation, but the stuff is coming out of sequestration. It's coming out of your bone, coming out of your muscles, coming out of your fat. It's going to be in circulation. Even though you're cleaning that out, it's nice to spike use for a little while to make sure that you're clearing the decks again.
Rick, another question about, I don't know if this is possible to measure, but the question is, when I use one drop, how many cages, zeolite cages, are in one drop? Is that possible to measure?
We can do it by surface area. So it's really about 1 milligram per drop of zeolite. 1 milligram has about 1,000 cages. It comes out to 90 square meters of surface area. So if you think about that, it's a huge amount of surface area in per drop. And that's what we really care about. We care about how much surface area there is to start pulling toxins in.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Another discussion we'd like to talk to you about tonight is, there's a lot of questions about using another product called Plus Relief, and Plus Relief is an amazing product. I've had personal experience in own family members, and even using the Plus Relief for a spray for some of the things such as addiction. And I say that sincerely. If you were on a couple of weeks ago, I told a story about one of my own relatives who was using the spray as a spray every time he had an urge to put something in his mouth with not nicotine smoking any longer, but using the nicotine pouches. So I said, why don't you try this instead? Can you explain a little bit about the Plus Relief product that we have?
So understand that there's two issues with addiction. One is reward deficiency, and the other is withdrawal. So if you're addicted to something, one of the things that happens, it triggers a genetic response in the brain, and the main gene is called the DRD2 gene. But what happens is we need rewards, and there are things that trigger that reward deficiency or satisfy the reward deficiency in the brain, and we feel rewarded. We feel happy by that, and we become addicted to that. And believe it or not, every addiction is exactly the same. Whether it's opiates, whether it's drugs, cigarettes, whether it's sex addiction, gambling addiction, all of them do the same thing. They trigger that satisfaction and reward deficiency. And there's a lot of great research on it. Dr. Ken Blum did some of the original research on it. There's actually 12 different genes that go into the reward deficiency pathway. He wrote several books on it. One was about people that binged on carbohydrates. It was called To Binge or Not to Binge. And it was all about reward deficiency for binge eaters. He had stuff on smoking, on alcohol, on drugs. So the first thing is reward. You need that sense of reward, and how can you get it without the medications? The second thing is a lot of people, we talk about the opiate epidemic. We talk about people addicted to opiates. And there are people that aren't very understanding, and they think it's just people that want to get high, they want to get stoned. But that's not what happens. What happens is the body gets physically addicted to it. And when you stop taking it, you have withdrawal symptoms, and they can be terrible. Muscle cramping and ache, nausea, chronic fatigue, flu-like symptoms. And so what happens is they want to get another dose, not because they want to get high, they want to get stoned. They just want the withdrawal symptoms to go away. So they're constantly just taking these products so they don't feel sick. And so that becomes the main issue in the opiate epidemic, is that these people take escalating doses to just not feel sick, not feel bad, And so that being said, the peptide in the Plus Relief, got it, it's fading in the distance. In the Plus Relief, it's from cobra venom. We have a Corky the Cobra. So we use this alpha cobra toxin from cobra venom, binds to the alpha-7 nicotinic acetylcholine receptor. It's called nicotinic because it's the same receptor that nicotine binds to. Now, there's 9 different nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. We only bind to the alpha-7, which is in the central nervous system and on the surface of certain white blood cells. So it helps modulate and mediate inflammation. So it's naturally anti-inflammatory, and it's naturally neuroconductive. It modulates that receptor, so it turns down big signals. Pain happens to be a big signal, so pain goes away. It turns down that signal, but it modulates. It's not an agonist or an antagonist. It's a modulator. And I like to say that because we've had people that not only did pain go down, but other sensations went up. It turned up sensations that were too low. So I talk about when we first launched the product, one of our investors in our public company took it for back pain. He was taking it for his back pain. He calls me, he's crying. He's like, I'm like, what's going on? When he was 9 years old, he got hit in the face with a baseball, and it broke his jaw, it broke his cheek, his orbital, and he has not felt the left side of his face since he was 9 years old. A week on the product, it was taken for his back pain. He felt his cheek again. They hadn't felt, he was in his late 60s and hadn't felt his cheek since he was 9 years old. So that's just improving nerve function. So I talk about this because most drugs for pain are numbing agents. It's almost like ablation. You lose pain, you lose sensitivity. And in this case, it modulates sensitivity. So pain goes away, but something like feeling your cheek came back, which I thought was fascinating. All right. So when it comes to addiction, though, that nicotinic acetylcholine receptor is key. By turning that on, we're actually satisfying reward deficiency. Now, we've never talked about that before because there's other parts to it. There's dopamine and serotonin and enkephalins. There's a lot of other neurotransmitters that come into play, but a lot of those are balanced when you activate that receptor. And so we have had people that told me that they were able to get off of opiates very easily. Now, we got in trouble for saying that. If you look up my company, you look up our products, you're going to see that in 2019, we got a warning letter from the FDA. And I want you to, if you want to go and read this, read the entire warning letter, because the first 4 pages make us sound like criminals, like we're just ripping people off, we're selling snake oil. But it gets to the 4th page and says, we recognize that you have research, and we recognize that your product helps people. We recognize your product is legal. You got to get to the 4th page to see all the good stuff. Okay. But the president's declared the opiate crisis a national emergency, and you are targeting at-risk people, an at-risk population. So they were telling us that we're going after people that are addicted to opiates, and therefore we should not be allowed to do that because we're trying to tell them they can get off of opiates using our products. Now, to be clear, that's a legal claim. We're allowed to say that. That is a completely legal claim. And they even say that in their letter. They said you're allowed to say that. It's a legal claim. But because the president has declared a national emergency, we feel that we have special powers. And we feel that we can tell you not to say that. That's actually not true. They don't get special powers. Okay. But regardless, we didn't want to fight with the FDA. So we took all those claims off the website. And we basically say non-opiate, non-narcotic, non-addictive, pain relief. All right. But we stopped talking about actually getting people off of opiates. In the meantime, we have been working with the disabled American veterans. We work with Colonel Mike Fuller and Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Colmenares. And to date, we've gotten over 1,000 veterans off of opiates using this product. All right. Mike works with them. He goes into hospices. He goes into hospitals. He told me a story today where one of these veterans was dying. You know, he was dying, but he got off of opiates using the product. But the more important thing was his wife. His wife had fibromyalgia, and she had severe chronic pain, and she was on fentanyl. And they gave her the highest possible dose of fentanyl. And what would happen is it would run out, and she'd be in so much pain, she would just scream. And she'd scream until she passed out. It was horrible. And then basically by the time she woke up, she'd be screaming again, but now it's time for another dose of fentanyl. And they give her the fentanyl. Start using our stuff. They started weaning her off the fentanyl. Within a month, she was off of all the meds and she was pain-free. Just using this. All right. And the mechanism is really very simple. It's a universal mechanism. So if anyone tells you it didn't work for their pain, you have to dive in because it should work for everybody in every type of pain. So usually they don't give it a chance. They're not taking it consistently. They're not drinking plenty of water. They're not giving it a chance to work because it can take up to 5 days to really start working, the oral spray, and it can take several weeks to maximize. So you want to make sure they're using it and continuing to use it. The other thing that happens is they're on other pain drugs. So they're on opiates, they're on gabapentin or Lyrica or some other pain drug, and they stop taking everything and start taking this. And that's horrible because you always have a rebound effect. So if you stop taking all that other stuff and start taking this, of course you don't feel good. You're going to rebound and feel terrible. So I say, whatever you're taking, keep taking it. This is not contraindicated with any other pain medicine. The mechanism of action is so wildly different, it's actually synergistic with every other pain drug. So if you're on other pain medications, simply add this to it. As you start getting benefit after a week or 2 weeks, you can start weaning yourself off of all the other pain meds. If you're under physician's care, do it with the physician. But you're going to be able to lower the doses of all your different pain meds. Eventually, like I said, we've gotten over 1,000 veterans off of opiates and other pain medications, including gabapentin and Lyrica and other pain drugs. The other cool thing is, if you know this, every pain medication causes resistance, creates resistance. So if you're on morphine or fentanyl or gabapentin or Lyrica or any of these drugs, you have to take a higher dose over time to get benefit because you grow resistant to the drug. Eventually, you hit something called the ceiling effect, which no matter how much you take, it stops working for you and you have to switch medications. Or that woman, for example, just hit the max and just was in pain. She couldn't take anymore. We have the exact opposite effect with this. You actually grow more sensitive to this over time. So you're going to find that if you use it, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have this experience, you can use it, and over time, you need less and less and less to get the same benefit. It's very, very cool. So I've been on this now for over 10 years. I have a syringomyelin, I have a syrinx in my back. I was in chronic pain forever. And now I really just take it maybe once or twice a day. Sometimes I skip a day and I'm pain free. I can actually go off this almost a week before I really start feeling pain. I try not to because I don't want to be in pain, so I take it all the time. And the cool thing too is it's not a numbing agent. It doesn't block pain or hide pain. So you don't re-injure the area. And for those of you that have had this experience, it's actually a very cool experience because I know my back is bad. I know I have that thing in my back. And because I know it, I'm not going to do things that are going to injure me. But I can work out. I go around. You guys have seen me dance at conferences. I can do pretty much everything, and I don't re-injure myself because I know where the problem is. And that's key because a lot of times people take opiates and they wind up re-injuring themselves because they don't feel the pain. They're taking numbing agents, lidocaine, benzocaine, things like that. All right.
Thank you,
So,
Rik. Thank you.
yeah. So I do believe that it is useful in addictions. There's other things we can do for addictions, and we can talk about that. But like I said, this alone has gotten over 1,000 veterans off of opiates, and we've tracked all of that.
Rik, there's a question in the chat regarding Agent Orange and addressing that. So maybe someone that's been exposed to Agent Orange, would it be safe to go ahead and say that they should start on the Cell Defender and perhaps some of the other products?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the thing about Agent Orange itself does not stay in the body. Agent Orange causes a lot of damage, and what you're seeing is metabolites of Agent Orange, and then the damaged cells that are left. So that's where people wind up with cancers, usually blood cancers like leukemias and lymphomas. And it's because of the damage that was done when they were exposed to the Agent Orange. But certainly they should be using the Cell Defender, and they can certainly use the Plus Relief as well.
All right, thank you for that answer to that question. All right, so I just saw on in the chat for the inner circle that today's the 3rd-year anniversary. Is that right? I saw Neil put that in there. So
Today is
congratulations.
officially the 3rd-year anniversary of, well, to be honest, we started in February of 22 as an affiliate ship. But we launched we launched Avini Health as a MLM on May 1st, 2022. So today is our 3-year anniversary. So
Congratulations. Very,
I
very.
can't believe it because I feel like it was yesterday. I've just been working. It's been 3 years. It's been 3 years.
3 years already. Hard to believe is right.
We
Right.
are having we didn't plan well, mostly because I was in New Jersey over the weekend. I was just catching up. So we're actually doing the staff party tomorrow. We're getting pizza tomorrow, which is always nicer to do a party on a Friday. So we're having a staff party tomorrow for our anniversary.
And we're having a corporate business presentation live in Boca Raton, Florida on Wednesday, May 7th. So if you're in the area, come with a guest. And we're going to be excited to be there to join Rik and Neil and see all of the wonderful people there at the corporate headquarters. But bring your guests because we will be doing a business presentation. All right, in light of time, we do need to have a little bit of discussion because this is the question I can't, we need you to answer the new Trim Science product, the protein. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I wanted to have two in one day, and I know I was only supposed to have one, but I think Amy said that she wanted to have two as well. But Rik, congratulations because the product's amazing. Can you discuss that product for us, the meal replacement?
Sure. So I've been disappointed in people's results on the trim science concept. And most of it is really just you have to be consistent. Okay. And I'm also you guys have heard me say this before. I believe in the word supplement. Supplement means supplemental to a healthful diet and exercise. I would never tell you take all our products and eat whatever you want and don't exercise and sit in front of the television and be a couch potato and you're going to be healthy and wonderful. No, you have to make good choices. You have to eat a healthful diet. You have to try to do something physically active. It's something, even taking a brisk walk. This was published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 1994. If you took a brisk walk for at least 20 minutes, 4 times a week, it lowered your stroke and heart attack risk by almost 60%. That's it. Something easy that anybody could do. So I tell you, you got to do something for your general health. But when the trim science came out, I said trim science alone is not enough. The trim science alone gives you the caffeine, it's a fat blocker, carb blocker, it's satiety, so it helps control your appetite. It's a really great product. But we wanted it in the trim science bundle to also take the fiber and take the cell defender. And all together, people should be able to have healthy weight loss with a healthy diet and exercise. But one of the biggest issues is still caloric content. So I say, you know what? Let's make a really good meal replacement to go along with the trim science products because everyone knows if you're eating less than 200 calories in a meal that's healthy and worthwhile, you're actually going to be healthy and be able to lose weight as part of everything else. So here we have an incredible meal replacement that makes Ensure look like a chocolate shake, or Slim Fast just look like a chocolate shake with tons of sugar and all that stuff. But it's got 21 grams of protein. It's got 22 minerals and vitamins and minerals, most of the RDAs of all your essential vitamins and minerals. And I wanted to do that too, because ever since we launched, people say, Rik, why can't you just make a multivitamin so I can get everything from you? And I said, I don't want to make products you can buy at Walmart. I don't want to make products you can just buy at Target. I want to make products you can only get from Avini Health. They have to be special. But if I was making a meal replacement anyway, let's put some vitamins and minerals in there. Let's make sure people get their essential vitamins and minerals. So I did that, but I want to make sure the proteins could be utilized. So I put an enzyme blend in there called Aminogen. Aminogen's been around for over 30 years. I used to know the guys that invented it. They were at a company called Triarco. Triarco got bought by a giant company called Inifos. So now I'm dealing with Inifos. But I've known this enzyme concept for over 30 years. And what it does is it helps preserve the amino acids that come from the peptides so you get more branched chain amino acids, which are called anti-catabolic. And this is important. When you're burning calories, when you're losing weight, the body burns muscle along with the fat. It will actually break down muscle, especially if you're on certain diets, especially low carb diets, you lose a lot more muscle than fat. And the body burns calories based on the lean to fat ratio. You need a lot of lean muscle and less fat. The more lean muscle you have against your fat, the more calories you're going to burn consistently. And that's how why skinny people stay skinny, and fat people stay fat, So you want to get more lean muscle mass and less fat. So what this does by balancing those branched chain amino acids, it prevents the breakdown of muscles. It actually utilizes those for energy and it's anti-catabolic. It prevents breaking down muscles, allows you to preserve your lean muscle mass while you're burning fat. And so that aminogen is really a key part of the formula. And then I also wanted to put in mid-chain triglycerides, MCTs. So I got to tell you, we don't know everything at all times. We learn as we go. I tell you this, I think you guys know Albert Einstein is like my patron saint. If people haven't been to my office, let me take out my background. Um, so I'll do this, see if I can do this. So over there is my Einstein. So that's my Albert Einstein sculpture. Okay. But one of my favorite quotes by Albert Einstein, he said, "It should be criminal, all the students we failed, for not learning what we now know to be incorrect." You got to think about it. He was a theoretical physicist. So they would teach their students stuff and they find out later that was wrong, but they already failed their students for not learning it, you know? So I'm telling you all this because when I went to college and I went to graduate school, we were taught that the only energy the brain can use is glucose. That's it. And if you're not ingesting sugar, you're not ingesting glucose, your body has to make it. And the process by which your body makes glucose is called gluconeogenesis. And it's a really painful process for the body. It creates a lot of toxic side products. It utilizes a lot of energy. And so that's one of the reasons that, when people on low carb diets, they go through this gluconeogenesis and there are a lot of damaging side effects from that. But in the last 20 years, we found out the brain can also use mid-chain triglycerides. Certain size triglycerides, fatty acids, actually feed the brain, increase cognitive function, and help burn fat. And that's what mid-chain triglycerides do. And in fact, the first research was for the US Army. They were giving soldiers these pills, these MCT pills from coconut oil that gave them focus and energy, and they didn't have to eat. So if they lacked food, this was something they could use to maintain cognitive function. So by adding this, it allows us to not have so many carbs, and we still have brain function, we still have focus, and we still have energy, and we can still burn fat. So that's the key component in the meal replacement. And of course, we put cocoa in it, and cocoa is healthy. It's a dark chocolate, alkalized dark chocolate. And then we have the detoxolite. The zeolite is in there as well, which acts as a nutritional enabler and a shuttling agent to make sure you get better value from everything. The biggest thing though is the taste. I got to tell you, it was hard to make it taste good. The whey protein naturally tastes like spoiled milk and smells like spoiled milk. The minerals all have a metallic taste, all the minerals, so that's hard to mask. So I'm really, really proud that we're able to use these natural flavoring agents to come up with not just a good drink, but a delicious drink. And I got to tell you this, my wife is the worst critic because she hates it when you give a product and say, mix it with fruit, throw some fruit in there, make it taste good. Do this to try to make it taste good. She goes, why can't it just taste good? And the funniest thing is, while I was working on this, she brought in this protein shake that she drinks. And she goes, why can't it taste like this? This is delicious. I looked and it had 9 grams of sugar in it. I said, if I can put 9 grams of sugar in it, I can make it taste good too. But I can't put 9 grams of sugar in there. You guys will crucify me. So I knew I couldn't do that, but I was really, really proud. And I got to tell you, we did promise at conference that we'd also have a strawberry flavor. I can't make it taste good. I've got this is my last sample of strawberry. It doesn't taste good. It still has a metallic aftertaste. It's got a funky smell to it. So it's got all the great stuff in it, but I need to make it taste good. So it's going to be a while. I'm still working on strawberry, but I bought 100 kilograms of strawberry powder, so I'm going to make it. I'm going to make this taste good. Okay.
Well, we have faith in you. We know you will. So there is a question. So do we have to take regular trim science and the meal replacement for maximum benefits, or does it matter?
Yeah, listen, it's a healthy meal. The Trim Science protein shake meal replacement is a healthy meal at less than 200 calories. So if you're replacing a burger, especially like McDonald's or Burger King or something like with that, then it's much healthier. It's much fewer calories. You're going to lose weight if you do that. If you're replacing a bad meal with this, you're definitely going to lose weight. But if you really want to try to manage your weight and be healthy, then you should be taking the Cell Defender, the Plus Fiber, the Trim Science, and the meal replacement. That's a weight loss system. Okay. And I really love, we haven't really talked about it yet, but I'm talking to Neil about potentially doing some sort of body transformation contest to talk about, just how you feel, how you look, if you do things properly. So that's something that's probably going to come down the pike. We're not there yet. We are working on the next stage. And of course, you guys know this. We have the canister now with the scoop. And what happens after we come out with a powder and a canister? we start working on pouches. So this is our meal replacement pouch. So we are working on this now. Our goal is as quickly as possible to have the meal replacement available, not just as a canister with a scoop, but in sample packs, because I want you guys handing this out to everybody. If you guys are not sampling, you're not building a business. You know, you should be taking these products. You should be taking every sample we have. You know, here's our plus relief, plus relief sample, 2 mLs. You should be handing these out to, you see anybody in pain, anybody going like this, anybody going like this, give them a plus relief sample pack, because I got to tell you, the topical gel, in over 90% of people, they will have a benefit within 20 minutes. I told you, I've done meetings where I just hand out samples at the beginning of the meeting. I start talking, introducing myself, talking about the technology. And because there's no heat, no cold, no smell, no residue, 20 minutes later, they forgot they used it. They absolutely forgot that they used it. And I say, by the way, who tried the product at the beginning of the meeting? And you start seeing people going like this, and jumping up and down. It becomes like a tent revival meeting. They're like, hallelujah. Oh my God. Yeah, I might as well have laid hands on everybody in the audience because they can't believe how they feel. Because, like I said, greater than 90% of people will have benefit from this, and they can't believe it because there's no heat, no cold, no smell. They don't. How is this working? It's just those coprevenant peptides are going in and blocking pain and inflammation. So yes, the samples are great. You should all be using sample. So definitely, when we get the chocolate meal replacement samples out, it's going to be really easy. If you're somewhere, hey, try this, try this, try this. You know, you're trying to lose weight. This is like the healthiest Ensure or Slim Fast or anything like you've ever had.
We've already seen some of the people that have come to the call and started on the product when they received it at the summit, and they've lost some weight, and it's pretty remarkable to see. So we're grateful for, your
Neil lost 11 pounds, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
And
amazing.
he's 73 years old. They say it's harder and harder when you get older. So Neil's already lost 11 pounds at his age. It's fabulous.
Can we take samples on the plane? Yes, we can. I've
Of
taken them on the
course.
plane many, many times, and I've actually handed them to the person next to me. I sat next to a pilot. We were coming back, and he's actually an Air Force pilot, and I shared it with him. And he was all about the research too, so I sent him the studies, and he's given a thumbs up. He's going to be going into professional bodybuilding, even though he is in the Air Force. So I started him on the hydration and this new product. So it's going to be something to see the transformation. Oh, look at this. Alan Way, I lost 7 pounds this week after using Trim Science and Replacement. Alan, that's wonderful. Congratulations. Yeah, we want to hear more about this and see more of this, and I know we will. I just got my product a couple weeks, not even like a week ago, but like I said, the taste is remarkable. I'm not a sugar person, don't crave sugar, but the chocolate, I do once in a while crave chocolate, but the taste was spectacular. Does anyone else have a question that you want to unmute and ask Rik? We have a few more minutes before we let you go. We got about,
Someone just asked about dialysis. Let me talk about that
oh,
really quick.
sure, go ahead.
So the cell defender is very easy on the kidneys. It's certainly perfectly safe in people on dialysis. The one issue is that dialysis patients are limited in their intake of water. So I try not to put anyone on dialysis on too large a dose. You know, so instead of like the 10 drops every hour, they can certainly use 5 to 10 drops twice a day. But that's about as much as I would give someone on dialysis. It's easily dialyzed out. They're going to be able to remove it, and it's going to help take out those toxins and make everything healthier.
I'd like to know if there are any products that we have in Avini that are better taken on an empty stomach.
Not really. Down the road, we will have things that might have competition, but no, I mean, everything we have, you can take with or without food. There's no issues.
Earlier, we were told that the mind and vision and the cardio should be taken on an empty stomach. Am I in error in thinking that?
Yeah, I don't know who told you that. In fact, if you're actually taking the 3 capsules at once, that can be a little hefty dose. It's probably easier in the stomach with food. So yeah, there's you don't need to take those apart from food.
Rik, it's Gary
Thank you.
in Maine with a question. What about taking the meal replacement instead of the 2 scoops, but a single scoop, say 4 different times throughout the day?
That's fabulous. Yeah, I mean if you read the label, that's 2 scoops. That's 64 cc's. Okay. If you want to split it up, split it up. I mean, how many times you take a meal and you split up the meal and eat it throughout the day? So yeah, you can absolutely do that if you want. The other thing
And
too is people ask about cooking with it. I saw someone from conference made brownies and they were delicious. So yes, you can also cook with it if you want.
and then what about adding fiber to it so you get more of like a sort of a melted milkshake
Yeah, I've done that. The
texture?
orange fiber with the chocolate, it's like a mandarin orange chocolate. It's delicious. I would warn you though that because of the guar gum and the fiber salt too and the fiber, it will get very thick. Okay,
Yeah, I like that.
so yeah, so just remember that, and it gets thicker over time. So if you let it sit there, it'll turn into cement. So you really have to drink it pretty quickly.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay?
I have a question, Rik. On
Yes.
zeolite, when it's formed naturally in nature, does it need salt water to form the cages? Because I was shocked to learn that there were zeolite mines in Arizona.
Yes, well, just so you know, there was an ocean there once, you know?
Okay.
So yes, for the most part, I don't think there's any zeolite mines that didn't have salt water because it's a sodium aluminosilicate. And so sodium is part of the foundation of the zeolite cage. But the if you go in Arizona, there's a really cool part of Arizona that just has these like stones. They're just sticking there. You're like, how did they get there? And that's because that used to be an inland sea and there was water there and the stones were floating around, knocked around there. So there's a lot of places that used to have water.
Okay. Thank you.
My pleasure. Our zeolite mine say is actually New Mexico, so
Oh.
so that's where we get our zeolite. And yes, it used to be part of the ocean.
Well, I'm heading
That
to New Mexico right after our Boca Raton, so I'll have to hunt that down, Rik. All right,
Yeah,
any
our
more?
mine say is right next to a town. It's funny. It's called Truth or Consequences, New Mexico.
Ah,
And that's because there used to be a game show called Truth or Consequences.
Right,
They
right.
did a contest that said if you rename your town Truth or Consequences, they would film in the town. And so one season, this town in New Mexico changed their name, and the TV show went there and filmed in that town.
all right. I think there's another question
I
here.
do.
Go ahead.
Dr. Rik, being that I work with a lot of clients, do you have any recommendations for people with bipolar issues, depression, and what your protocol might be?
Yeah, so we've seen lots of great stuff just with the zeolite, with Cell Defender, because we know that there are certain forms of depression that are certainly worsened by metals, and just the fact that lithium, a metal, actually helps improve depressive
Right.
disorder. It tells you that a balance of metals actually has something to do with it. So certainly metals. I will tell you this. Um, we've had so many testimonials with immunity on mood elevation and depression, and I don't really know why. I've been digging into it, and yes, mushrooms have been used as an anti-anxiety, but I got to tell you, we've had heard from several people that had suicidal tendencies and took our products and they went away, and they decided to do their own clinical evidence and their clinical trial of one and eliminate products and add them back, and invariably it was this immunity that gave them those benefits. And we've now heard this literally dozens and dozens of times. So it's something I'm looking into. I'd like to see if there's a way that we can actually make those claims on immunity as a mood elevator, because primarily with the mushroom, we can talk about the immune system. And that's all we talk about. It's an antioxidant, it stabilizes immune system reactivity, it's great for immune system health. But we haven't talked about that particularly as a mood elevator and anti-anxiety. But it's definitely something I would recommend to somebody with bipolar 1 or 2, people who are depressive, who are suicidal, will definitely benefit from this immunity and Cell Defender.
Rik, just real quick, we are hearing that all over again with Plus Balance. Getting the same
Yeah.
kind of stories from Plus Balance.
Yeah, that's interesting. So Plus Balance is our newest product, and again, the claims are specifically that it improves liver function, especially liver function as pertains to balancing hormones and hormone mimetics in the body. And all that being said, when the liver works better and the hormones are balanced, everything else works better. And one of the things that happens with that is improved hair, skin, nails, blood vessels. And so that becomes I'm really excited about the next conference because I swear people are going to come and say my hair is thicker, my skin looks better. people are taking pictures of their face and pictures of their hands, and looking at that, because I really didn't want to launch it as a cosmetic product. But when you're healthier and you can see that on the surface, that's really wonderful.
Okay, I see a couple more questions there.
So someone asked about alcohol and tobacco,
Yeah.
and yeah, listen, you shouldn't drink and you shouldn't smoke, you know. Um, but regardless, it's you can use these products, and drinking and smoking. If you have bad habits, it doesn't negate the effect of these products. You know, you shouldn't eat McDonald's either. But if you're eating McDonald's, taking these products, you're still going to be healthier. You know. So yes, you can certainly use our products if you're drinking and smoking. So it has knee replacement with documentation issued by Dr. Beers plus relief date. Okay, so yeah, I mean we have tons of evidence of the plus relief. There's my master class is on the Avini Health training. I don't think I have a white paper in there, but we did a review article back in 2009 that talked about why cobra venom, why these doses of cobra venom work in pain relief and anti-inflammation. And that was published in a peer-reviewed journal. So that's available as well in the back office and Avini Health training. So basically, a review article on cobra venom for the treatment of pain. We have had lots of surgeons tell people to use the product before and after surgery. We did a small study at Nova Southeastern School of Dentistry, and they found that when patients use the topical gel before and after surgery, they did some patients just before it, some patients just after, and some patients before and after. And no surprise, the people that used it before and after surgery had less pain, less inflammation, less bleeding, and they healed faster. So certainly, if you're going to have surgery, especially knee surgery, use it before and after. I'd probably use the oral spray and the topical gel, but use it for the few days leading up to surgery and certainly after surgery. I believe that you'll have less pain, less inflammation, and heal faster. Okay. She used plus balance with liver failure, severe flare up with high, but I was told not to take vitamins because it will tax the liver. That's okay. So I gotta tell you, I don't know if anyone saw this, but there was a comment and it kind of made its way around where someone actually said that the plus balance was a dumb product, that your biochemist, as if, so questioning my credentials, and says that vitamin D does nothing for the liver. That was part of it. And why would this product help with the liver at all? And so I tried to differentiate that there's different ways to think about the liver. There's the liver as a structure and function of the liver. So if your liver is damaged, if your liver has liver damage, if you have cirrhosis, if you have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, that's a physical stress in the liver. There are certain things you can do for the liver to improve the structure of the liver. And you'll hear things like milk thistle, which has a compound called silymarin in it. That's great for liver function and liver health. There's globe artichoke. These are things that actually help rebuild the liver. And the liver is a really incredible organ. It's the only organ in your body that can completely regenerate. You can have a living liver donor. I find this fascinating. You can donate half your liver to someone else and your liver will grow back. How cool is that? You know, there's no other organ in your body that will do that. I wish your heart could do that. I'll give you half my heart and it'll grow back. No, that doesn't work. The liver will actually grow back. But that's different than what we're trying to do with the plus balance. We're trying to improve liver function, not liver structure. And so these ingredients help improve all of the different functions of the liver, including transformation processes and including detoxification. Yes, if you have structural liver problems, I do recommend you. There's millions of products out there for liver support that have globe artichoke and milk thistle in it. Certainly, you should be using those products. But if you're talking about liver function, especially in balancing hormones, then the plus balance is amazing. You can certainly use those together.
Yes, I have a question. I'm excited to try the meal replacement. I'm right now using the Trim Science lemonade. Is really great and it's working well. But the meal replacement has whey in it. And
Yes.
normally when I use a whey product, it kind of bloats me and gives me gas and it's very irritating. So do you think I should not try it or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's exactly why I added the aminogen, the enzyme, because that's what it does. It actually allows you to better digest the whey and preserve the branched chain amino acids. That's what it's for. And you can look up aminogen. It's a well-known compound. It's been out for over 30 years, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But that's what it addresses. Those people that get bloating, they get gassiness, they get constipation from whey protein. The aminogen helps alleviate all of that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. And look, like I said, I never say trust me, trust me, trust me. I point to sources. I say look it up. There's plenty of information, data out there for you guys to do your own due diligence. Okay,
Thank
someone
you,
said
Rik.
about the article on Plus Relief. Well, first of all, someone said, "Do you have a product with cobra venom?" Yes, the Plus Relief has cobra venom in it. uh, and then yes, the paper. I'm pretty sure if you just go to avinihealthtraining.com and look at the Google sheet, look under Plus Relief, you should see the article we published, I think in 2008 or 2009, that had the original research that was the foundation for mechanistically why does the cobra venom help in pain and inflammation. And like I said, that was a review article published in a peer-reviewed journal.
I had a question in the chat. I don't think y'all saw it, but I had someone to ask me, they said, well, if these products are so great, then, why aren't they being advertised and sold everywhere? Why are they being sold in this type of marketing system?
It's a great question. So my first job in network marketing was for the Rexall network marketing division, which was called Rexall Showcase. And I asked the same question. We had these great products. Why wasn't it sold somewhere else? And the cool thing about Rexall is that we had products that we sold in other places. We actually owned GNC. We owned Metrics and Worldwide Pure Protein. We sold Rexall Sundown products in Walmart. And so what we did is we did something called multi-channeling. So for example, we had a product called PTI 00703. It was a cat's claw extract that was clinically proven to help dementia patients, especially Alzheimer's patients, improve cognitive function. So it had tons of clinical evidence. We had a patent on it. So we sold it in Walmart as PTI 00703. We added ginkgo biloba to it, and we sold it in GNC as NeuroSharp. It was called NeuroSharp. And then we added Bacopa minera, rosemary, and a couple other ingredients. And we sold it in Rexall Showcase as CognoBlend. Okay, so it was the highest end product that we sold to the network marketers. And so what I found when I first started in network marketing, first of all, it was very exciting. This is exciting. You normally, as a scientist, I don't get to talk to the end users of the product. I don't even get to talk to the salespeople that sell the product. I'm working in a lab, making what I can and sending it out there. And then a retail company has to do advertising, they have to do radio and TV and magazine ads to try to get it across why you should be using this product. And that's a heavy lift. That costs hundreds of millions of dollars. And sometimes it's something simple. I mean, we talk about that Duracell paid, was it Duracell that paid Michael Jordan $400 million to sell batteries? They really need Michael Jordan to tell you what a battery was? I mean, you know what a battery is, but it's hundreds of millions of dollars to try to advertise this stuff and get people to use your product. When it comes to network marketing, these products need a heavy lift. They need a lot of explanation. Do you think I could really take this bottle of cobra venom and just go retail and say, use cobra venom? I've tried it. I've sold retail. We had our first product, Cobroxin, was in 35,000 stores. It was hard to sell. Most people saw cobra venom and went, it's cobra venom. It's a heavy lift to try to educate people. Now, I'm not the first person to say this. If you look back at the last 30 years, every new ingredient started in network marketing. Every single one. Glucosamine started network marketing. Hawthorne started network marketing. St. John's wort started network marketing. All ginkgo biloba, all these new ingredients started where there was a place that you could explain to distributors what it was, and distributors could explain to other people what it is. So instead of having a shelf behind your product, you have a person behind that product, explaining what that product is and why you can benefit from it. So every new ingredient, every new concept starts in network marketing. It doesn't mean it stays there. So I don't know, maybe in 20 or 30 years, people are going to understand how great our zeolite is, and our zeolite will wind up in retail somewhere, you know? But the fact is, for now, every cool new ingredient, new formulation is going to be here. It's going to be at Avini Health, and you're going to have it first where you can explain to people how these things work. Listen, I never like generic sort of stuff, but look, acai started network marketing. Mangosteen started network marketing. And what happened? It's just juice. So acai is juice from a fruit. People used to pay $42 a bottle for a bottle of acai juice. You can go to Costco now and get it for $2. It's like $2 a gallon or $3 a gallon, you know? So that's what happens. These things eventually go retail. But I don't want something so simple. So our stuff is very complex. It requires a lot of explanation and a lot of you guys, thousands and thousands of you guys, to start telling everybody else why they're great products. So I hope that answers the question, but it is, I think, really cool. I think network marketing is really cool. The problem is that there's a lot of bad network marketing out there that have bad products, and that gives us all a black eye. So you just have to make sure that our products are out there helping people and changing people's lives. And on the backside, you know, Neil would hate me if I didn't say this, you could also make a living doing it, you know? So instead of us paying hundreds of millions of dollars to Michael Jordan to use batteries, we pay you guys millions of dollars to go and spread the story and tell people what it is. You actually get a commission for sharing your stories, which I think is pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, well said. And, you know, there's nothing, you know, you got to be proud to be the one that's carrying the message, because I feel like it's an important calling that we each have to do, is go share with that person that might be looking for the answer to their problem. In light of time, we're going to go ahead and get ready to close this meeting, but I wanted to give the opportunity to Chip Littlejohn just to come on and share his thoughts. And I want to remind you all that there is a summit coming up the date is July 21st. That will be coming up. You know, feel free to look in your back office. And if you're a guest, we want to have you back. We do this every Thursday night at 7:30. We have different guests. Our topics coming up will be infertility. And we'd like you to invite your nurse friends, your doulas, the people that your clients or your friends and family that are dealing with that issue. So that will be coming up for the month of May. Rik, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We could go on for hours. Love listening to you. We all love to learn from you, and we just appreciate your passion and your, you know, your consistency in the integrity of what you do. So we're grateful for that. Chip, what do you have to say to our audience and to our guest speaker tonight before we say goodnight?
Christine,
Well,
just check those dates that you mentioned. I think you're
Yeah.
talking about June 21st
Thank you.
in
June
Salt Lake.
21st. Thank you very much. In Salt Lake City. Gary, I love having you there. You're always a great pleasure to offer. Thank you.
well,
Okay, so Chip, you're up.
thank you, Christine, for arranging Avini Vibes every week, and Carol Witt for arranging Avini Vibes every week. And what a great group of presenters you have had, and to have Rik tonight's a big deal. I just kind of give you guys an idea how to function when you hear what you just heard. Pick up a few things that you thought were cool. You know, you don't have to remember all of it. You don't have to know all of it. Just pick up a few things that are kind of key, and then you can direct people to the recordings of Rik. Even this recording, I think, will be very popular. And I guess I would close with the concept that it is approximately 9 o'clock in the evening. And you can see that Rik's still sitting in his office that's about 15 minutes behind me here. And so I kindly show a picture of his backyard at home so that he could feel at home even though he's still at work.
Oh my God, that is my backyard.
Yes, it is.
That's wonderful. Thank you,
Wow.
Chip.
This
Thank you so
background
much.
is my backyard.
All right, so we're all coming to Boca Raton, right? We'll be there Wednesday, May 7th. We're not going to Rik's backyard. We're going to corporate headquarters and bring your friends, bring the ones that you want to hear about this opportunity, about these amazing products. And again, thank you for being with us, each and every one of you. Rik, thank you for being with us tonight, and thanks for joining us always with your expertise. Good night, everybody. We'll see you all.
Good night.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye,
Good night, all.
everyone.
Good night, Sharon.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Wonderful call.